Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next YouTube video, and this is going to be my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode review, and it's going to be for 118 Cockroach Terminator, so the 18th episode of Season 1 of the Nick Show Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Overall, I thought it was a good episode, but it wasn't like a really great episode, because just getting straight into the reason I feel that way, because I thought like it was an enjoyable episode. The show always is. It's a quality show, as I always say, and it was a good episode. But because of the way the previous episode ended with the cliffhanger about April, this one kind of almost ignoring that and just focusing on this kind of Raph fear of cockroaches thing, and then focusing on the cockroach Terminator was. It felt really weird, I think, because there was no mention of April. They mentioned they were going to spy on the Krang, which we assume was to find out maybe why April is important, but they never really focused on that. They never said that. So that's kind of my main problem with this show right now. They have this plot going on, and for the past few episodes, they have been actually focusing on it, getting into it. But then with this episode, they just really went away from it there, even though the Krang were like a focus in the episode. It just felt weird that they didn't have April in the episode, have some mention of the fact that they're looking for the reason why April is wanted by the Krang. No, it was just this Krang now want this drill to get to the center of the earth or something like that. It was pretty odd, but I think within the episode there were some really interesting things in that. The Cockroach Terminator itself, I actually really liked the kind of origin of that it was this amazing cockroach that Donatello trained and fitted with cameras, and then it fell into the mutagen and basically became the Terminator in cockroach form. So I liked that, and it was one of the more interesting mutants that we've had, and that was the fusion of like biology and technology. That was really cool, and the design was pretty cool, even though there were some very gross moments, I suppose, especially if you're not the biggest fan of bugs, which I'm not really a biggest fan of bugs either. But so, especially that like kind of final form of the Cockroach Terminator was a bit like, that's a bit much. But I think then how they play this in with Raphael, I think that's what kind of really made me just kind of go, this isn't the best episode, and that when you get down to it, the story plot of this episode was Raph getting over his fear of bugs, when we were just given a big cliffhanger about the story like last episode. So that's kind of my main reasoning for not really being the biggest about this episode. But within that, getting into the Raph and his fear of bugs, it was done pretty well in that the whole episode he did feel bad about putting the rest of the group at risk because he has this fear that he kind of is struggling to get over. And the rest of them didn't have this fear, but they kind of didn't really get behind him. They kind of made fun of it. But then there was kind of a few moments where they sort of did get behind him, and that kind of inspired him to kind of do it. But like within that, there were some very good action moments, I suppose, with Raph kind of getting over that fear. The Shell Razor continues to be amazing, and then that Lego set, this stealth shell kind of thing, coming into the show was really cool. I loved that kind of motorbike thing that Raph had, and then the way the kind of panels made it kind of blend in with the streets at night time. That was really cool. Some amazing action scenes and stuff like that. But again, yeah, it just comes back to the fact that all of this kind of led towards this whole Krang drilling into the center of the earth thing, which got away from the main Krang plot, but didn't really mean anything, I suppose, by the end of the episode. It was like, is no one like caring about the fact that there were 50 meters or so away from like getting to the center of the earth? Like, really? Okay. So there was a few weird moments in the episode, but at the same time, there were some good moments in that. Action was good. The way they dealt with the raft thing, despite it kind of feeling out of place at this stage in the story, was dealt with reasonably well. The brothers' interaction with each other continues to be really good. Mikey's funny. Donnie gets stressed out when he kind of is rushed to do his scientific stuff. Leo leading and stuff like that was good. But yeah, it just means like there's 8 episodes I believe left in this season, and they really need to get back into the story. They really need to focus for these last few episodes on the story and where the story's going. So because like there's a whole thing with Karai sort of becoming interested in the Krang with the Shredder, so those two factions are probably going to meet at some stage. Then the thing with April has to come out, and they're probably going to rescue her father. And there's a lot of stuff that kind of needs to happen in the show still. Splinter kind of needs to have a confrontation with Shredder maybe at some stage. And there's just like a lot left to do. So I think they need to maybe stop now with this episode, with these kind of episodes that don't mean a whole lot to the plot, and really focus on the plot for the next, basically till the end of the season, I think. Because this episode felt like it would have worked as maybe one of the earlier episodes in the season, getting to know Raph a bit better. But coming near the end of the season, it was a bit out of place. And in terms of other stuff, I have to say, I suppose my final comment will be on the scheduling of the show, because the last, I'd say, 7 episodes have had really weird airing in that there's been 2 episodes, a break, 1 episode, a break, 1 episode, a break, then 2, and then there's been a break before this one, and then we're back again. So I don't even know if there's an episode like this week, or are they taking another break? Because I've heard people saying that this was the final episode of the season, and that there is going to be a kind of bigger break before we get the final part of season 1. So I'm very confused about where the rest of this show is going. But that coming back to the episode Cockroach Terminator, some really good ideas, just felt a bit out of place, mainly in the where it was happened in the season, basically. Some nice action scenes, some nice character moments, but they did forget about the whole April bit they were kind of thing they were setting up. So I hope that gets some resolution reasonably soon. So thank you for listening, watching this review, and bye.